I think we are live. I can see people start coming in here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the second session of office hours for this edition. I hope you're all doing well. Just to test out our Q&A box, making sure that it actually works. If I can just get people to type in as a question where they're coming from, so I know that my Q&A box here works. That just lets me know that our tech is set up correctly, and then we can get on to the actual session here. All right. Yeah, I can see here we're getting some answers in. So I think for this session, it will primarily be our friends in the Americas, both North and South. It is late here in Eastern Europe, so I hope in the US and South America, you're getting your day started and you are up and running. I think on the East Coast, you should have already gotten your morning coffee, but on the West Coast, it's still a little bit early for you guys. So I hope you're all enjoying your time today. This session's focus will primarily be on automation and integration. So I was at an event last week, which was the reason why we didn't have office hours last week, where I spoke with a lot of people who asked specifically about how does integration work and what are our steps for automation, how can we save time. So we decided to make this office hour session more related to those subjects. And of course, if you have any other questions, if something pops up while I'm speaking, feel free to put them in the Q&A and we'll take them as we go along. Essentially, what we're talking about when we are saying automation and integration is our ability to move data from our solution into other solutions. So we don't have very much inbound integration, but we have quite a lot of outbound integration. So we'll have a little bit of a look at that. And then we will also be looking at how to automate things. So we have our schedule scans and we have some things that can make your workday a little bit easier if you're setting up continuous monitoring. So in regards to statistics, what are we looking at with our current user base? About a little bit more than 45% are currently using some sort of automation within our solution. So that might be they've set up an integration to automatically take data out, or they've set up schedule scans to make sure they get their data created on a regular basis. By a significant margin, the most used automation we have is the scheduled scans. So let me quickly show you how that works. In case you are not one of the people who have already set it up, you will be able to do it after this session. It is very easy to do. So let me just share my screen here and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. You should be able to see it in just a moment. Whenever you are performing a scan, this can be a brand new scan, or it can be a scan that you're repeating from a previous scan. Aside from just saying start scan, you also have the option for scheduling. So any of our tools that you can just start, you can also schedule. The best way, in my opinion, to do it is to take a scan you already performed, let's say this one, and then you verify that you have the result that you wanted. And once that's done, you can say schedule. This will open up in a new tab and you'll have the settings from that previous scan and you'll be able to just say schedule and you set your start date and then you set your recurrence. And if you have Vanta integration configured, you'll be able to automatically output that there as well. So that's chaining a couple of our subjects together here today, and you'll be able to really optimize your workflow quite significantly. So highly recommended that you set up your scheduling if you haven't got that already. It's just a really nice way to make sure that you're getting the maximum value out of the tools that you've already purchased. If you haven't purchased already, it's a really nice way to make sure that you're actually getting the value you're spending the money for once you start your subscriptions. So really nice way to kind of get from the just starting a scan into continuous monitoring instead of going in manually and starting the scan on demand. Of course, you can still do that aside from your automated scanning. So if something happens that's very relevant to you, if we release a new thing, you might go in and start a separate scan that isn't scheduled while also maintaining your scheduled scans separately. So very nice way to optimize your workflow and make sure that the data is generated by itself without too much fuss from your side. Let's see here. Today, aside from just the normal workflow, I go and show you different tools. I actually have very detailed notes. So excuse me for switching a little bit between my face and my tool today. I hope you don't mind too much having a little bit of look at how I am, aside from just the tool itself. Let's see here. So the integration that we have, which generally saves our customers the most times, is the Vanta integration. So you had a little bit of a sneak peek on that when I opened the schedule scan here, and I will show you how that works. If I share my screen here. So you can either configure directly from here. This will take you to your Vanta login page, and we have native integration from that side. Or you can go into your integrations down here and then go into a link Vanta account. This will again take you directly in. You'll set it up from the Vanta side. Personally, I don't have Vanta, so I can't show you how it works, but it is fairly easy steps. And if you do run into any issues with it, our support team will help you if you just send them a message and they'll help you out. Again, as I said, if you have questions or anything you'd like to have further information about as we go through it, the Q&A box is open throughout the conversation here. So please feel free to pop it in there while I'm checking my notes and going to the next subject. Let's see here. Um, one of the reasons why Vanta is such a valuable integration from our point of view is that it helps you if you're doing your compliance checks, so your SOC 2, your ISO, things like this, because it takes you directly to the next part of your workflow for your evidence gathering and for the compliance dashboard. So it takes away that copy and pasting and manual uploads, and it makes you audit ready very, very quickly. In regards to communication and notifications, our top integrations are Microsoft Teams, just because they're so widely used, and luckily the integration is fairly easy to add in. So I will show you here again, if my Zoom will cooperate with me. Here. So if I go into Teams integration, you just need to add your channels, and it will be able to post your notifications in there automatically. So really nice and easy setup there. Then the next most used integration is actually Jira. Again, it's market share related. While we see it used to an extraordinary extent, again, configuration, you just need to add in your API and project as well as your email and URL. Nice and easy to do. Once you've set it up, you'll be able to put your project tasks directly into your Jira and be able to push your tasks to your team. And the third one I've already mentioned, is Vanta. So I'm happy to see that it's one of our most used integrations because it is such a time saver. You're able to use it. Again, I'm reiterating myself because it is a thing that pops up multiple different places. But essentially, Vanta is one of the highly valued integrations that we have. Of course, aside from Teams, we also have Slack and Discord for communications. So that would be your notifications for new findings, for completed scans, things like this, depending on how you've set up your notifications. If you don't use any of these and you would still like to have information flow from our solution to whatever you're using, webhooks is available for scan results and vulnerabilities. So you'll be able to still get information out if you're not using a conventionally highly used solution. And of course, we have API as well. So our API is fully documented, and you'll be able to use it for whatever output you want, but it's also able to actually remotely control anything you see in the dashboard itself. You can do through API, creating new targets, creating new assets, creating new workspaces. It doesn't matter what you're trying to achieve. If you can do it by clicking around in the interface, you can do it with the API. It's fully documented, and you're able to do any of the actions you see in any of our sessions. So if you want to, you can fully remotely operate our solution through API, and you can use it with any of the other dashboards you might have from a different vendor, or if you're using your own custom-made dashboard, you can integrate us completely and use it on your own basis instead. We do have some customers who have decided to go that route for whatever reason they had. Maybe because they were used to having a specific setup, or because they just prefer to have their own logos everywhere. That's their own decision to make. The API, like I said, you can find it hosted on our website, and you can go through the entire documentation for it. Let's see here what my next point is. Okay. The next part is actually something I cannot show you, but I can announce to you. So this is the first time, well, technically second time this is being announced. The first time was in the first session of Office Hours. Our new integration to Sprinto will be coming soon. I don't have the exact date for it, but I was allowed to announce it in this session. So you are on the forefront of who gets to know that this is happening. Basically, if you are one of the users of Sprinto, you will be able to, at some point soon, natively integrate with that as well. Let's see here. Okay. So the next part I have is very interesting. We have launched for the cPanel and WHM a laser scanner. So this is a scan which is, let me share my screen again here. There you go. So this is free and open to use for anyone. You don't have to even have a free account. So without logging in, you can scan for this new vulnerability. For those who don't know, cPanel got a vulnerability which allows for authentication bypass. Basically, you can get authenticated without logging in. Very dangerous situation there. So you can see it has a CVSS of 9.8. I would probably personally have called it a clear 10 because it bypasses authentication completely. But essentially, we are able to scan it and let you know whether or not you are impacted by this. So if you haven't already checked yourself and you do use cPanel, I highly recommend checking out this laser scanner, and you will be able to determine if you are impacted by this new vulnerability. We had a lot of good feedback. We had a lot of very happy customers. Well, customers who were happy to at least understand that they were impacted so they could react to it. Not so happy that they were in fact impacted, but they found out through using our new free tool here, um, which again available without even logging in. So this is an asset that we have made completely free for everyone, regardless of whether you want to create an account with us. You can test out yourself and make sure you are safe going forward. So highly recommended. If you know someone who uses cPanel, let them know that there's a free resource out there to determine whether or not they are impacted as well. We hate to see these kind of things happening in our online communities. So we try to give out tools when it makes sense to give these one-offs for even people who are not customers, so that they can also be safe out there in the big scary world. Uh, I got a question here. Uh, we use OpenText WebRoot for real-time scanning and reports other than threat detection. What can this software in particular do to prevent such threats? So we don't by default do something to prevent threats. We scan and let you know that you have a vulnerability or that you can be exploited. So fundamentally, we don't protect you. We help you to understand that you are vulnerable. So let me share here and show you as an example how that works. It's a great question. And I think a lot of people are in this situation of learning what's the difference between getting vulnerability scanning and protecting yourself from those vulnerabilities. Essentially, whenever you use any of our tools, so let's say, for instance, you're scanning your website or your network, you set up your configuration, you run the scan. What are the results you actually get from it? So if I go into a finding, all of our findings will have similar information. So while I might not be able to find one that is specific to um, OpenText and WebRoot, if I just open anything here, you will see, we'll give you the information of what is the vulnerability, what is the risk associated with the vulnerability, and then how do you generally remediate it. So we don't go in and remediate on your behalf. We can't do that. We don't have access to install things or update things or change code on your website. This is not possible because we don't install anything on your devices. We don't go into your backend and change your code base. This is something you have to do yourself. So that's the step of remediation. What we can do is tell you that the vulnerability exists, and then it's up to you to either hire someone to remediate or remediate yourself based on our recommendation. Generally, remediation is fairly straightforward between the proof, the evidence we have up here, and the recommendation we have down here. If that's not enough to be able to remediate, searching for the name will help you to understand how do you move forward if you have this type of vulnerability on your solution. So very short answer to no, very long answer to your question, but the short version is we don't protect, we show you that you are vulnerable. I hope that answers your question. But it is a fundamentally good question because I think a lot of people are in the same situation of trying to understand what is the difference between protection and offensive security. So thank you very much for that. If you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Also, if the person who gave me that question can just let me know if I answered everything they wanted to know, that would be very highly appreciated. Because I think I rambled a little bit there, and I just want to make sure that I actually answered what you wanted to know. Okay, thank you very much. Uh, okay, so the last part I have for this session is actually the announcement for the next session. So let me just pull up my notes here one more time. Let's see here. So next week, I was just informed before this one that when I had the first session, I had not yet been informed what the next session will be. So that's the benefit of being part of the second session instead of the first, is that you get to have a little bit more information that might have slipped from the first session. Next office hours, so next Wednesday, will be surrounding the results from a survey we recently had out and the gap between AI and security. So creating code with AI and securing that code as well. That will be the subject for next week, which will actually be performed by some of my colleagues. So next week I get to rest my voice, and two of my colleagues will be performing the office hours instead of me. I might be invited to drop in. I don't know yet. But basically, it will be held by two of my colleagues instead of me next time. Otherwise, that was everything we have prepared for you this time in regards to integrations and automation. So I hope this was relevant for you and you learned something or that you had something refreshed that you might have forgotten. If you have any further questions, this would be the time to pop them into the Q&A box before we close the session off. As always, of course, it's been a pleasure to present for you guys, and I hope to see you next time if you don't have any further questions for me. I'll just give you a moment to type in case someone has something. Otherwise, we'll be closing the session in just a moment. All right. I think that's about it. I don't see anyone typing. So we'll close it here. Thank you very much for attending, and I hope to see you all next week if I'm the one joining. Otherwise, I'll be back again the following week for office hours on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Bye bye.